This video, I'm going to be sharing with you the truth on competition with the law of attraction. I'm going to share with you the mindset of a winner and how to make it so that you're able to win more often using the law of attraction in a powerful way. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a new perspective as to how, if we view competition in this new way, it makes everything so much easier, because it comes from this frame of understanding that we don't really have to compete. Now, I know that seems counterintuitive because it's like, well, it's a competition. But there's a perspective that will set you apart from everyone else and allow yourself not to limit yourself. So this is something that was actually inspired by a documentary that I recently watched. I watched a documentary that was on Netflix. It was called The Dominant and the Redeemed. It was a documentary on some of the top CrossFit athletes. Now, I don't necessarily do CrossFit. I do every now and then, but I'm not crazy passionate about it. But I love watching documentaries where you have these people that have a winner mindset and to see their psychology, to see how they move. And in this documentary, what you see is this was actually a part two, this specific one. It was more of a recent one over the last past 2 or 3 years. Whereas there was the original, it's called, I think, The Fittest on Earth. The original was like 5 or 6 years ago, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but it was before that. It was like the number one of it. Now, what you see in this is you see this one girl, her name is Tia. She is from Australia. And in Australia, she's one of the top Australian competitors. There's a couple top Australian competitors for the women's class. And she's been competing to become the best and fittest woman on earth. Now, what happened was in the first documentary, she's competing. She's obviously one of the best. And she's competing against this other girl. I think she's from Iceland. And they were both tied, and it came down to the very last competition. Now, let me explain a little bit about CrossFit just for you to understand how this is. CrossFit is where you do many different type of exercises. It's not just one. The CrossFit games or competition is over the course of a week, and there's like 17 to 20 different workouts. And what they're doing is these really strenuous workouts. If you've ever done a CrossFit workout, then you know how hard they are. I've done them before. And it's like, imagine what you do is you're doing like an obstacle course or something, and you have to jump over this huge wall. You have to climb up it on a rope. And then after that, you have to go up and under all of these things. And then at the very end of it, you have to do like 50 burpees, where you have to jump down, do a push-up, and then jump up. And the first person to win is the one that wins that, and it goes in order of people that win. So the idea is that you win the most amount that you can, because you get points for every time you're the first, second, or third place, and you want to rank to become number one. Now, there were some one of the things they did is they would run a 1.5 mile sprint, then they would swim for like half a mile, and they would run a 1.5 mile sprint again, and whoever won for that class or that competition. Then the points all get added up. But some of the things they do are really intense. They do these deadlifts. They'll do they have to do 20 deadlifts, and then they have to go and do climb up a rope or something. There's all these different variations, but nonetheless, it just drains them of energy. And it's something that if you can complete, then you really are one of the fittest people, and especially if you compete at the level that they do. So anyways, now you get a kind of a feel for what this CrossFit thing is. And what it is there is this one girl, her name Tia, and you can see her mindset in the first documentary. She was very negative, and she was very hard on herself. She was like, people were coming up to take pictures with her, and she's like, oh, you wouldn't want a picture with me. You're probably going to delete that from your phone when you're done with this. And she just kept having this very negative self-talk. And I remember thinking to myself watching it, I was like, I'd be really surprised if she won, because of the kind of way she's talking to herself and about herself. You could almost see, even in part of the documentary, what she had to do is she had to go in front of the camera and say that I am the fittest woman on earth, like for ESPN, because now this is actually growing to where now it's televised and everything. She had to go in front of the camera and say, my name's Tia Toomey or whatever her name is, and I'm the fittest woman on earth. And you see behind the scenes, and she has trouble saying it. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't, You could tell that in a way, if she couldn't say that, then she probably may not believe it. So these are a couple things that I realized in the very first documentary that I saw her in. Now, here's the interesting thing. At the very end of that documentary, it's the very last exercise, and it comes down to the top 2 people. Whoever wins this last exercise wins the CrossFit Games. And they're doing this thing where they're holding these big kettlebells like this, and they're doing these lunges, all the way to the end of the finish line. You see she has like 15 feet of a head start on the person that's next to her. That's the other one that's in line to win first place. So it's the person she's really competitive against. And she goes, and in the very last step, she gets what's called a no rep, which means that like her hand kind of shifted down so it didn't count. So she had to take a step back and do it again. She takes a step back to do it again. And in that moment, that other girl comes and does this lunge and ends up beating her by a fraction of a percentage. That's when the year that Tia won second place. Now, what happened, and she was devastated, as you can imagine. She was so close. Imagine being that close to being a winner, and then all of a sudden, it's like you miss it because of something that you knew you didn't have to mess up on. So anyways, that was the first year. The second year, her mindset has changed. She is dominating in so many different ways, but somehow she, in a way, kind of sabotages herself on the last 2 or 3 exercises. You can kind of see it in her mind. She kind of gets a little bit analytical about it. She's still doing great. However, it came down to the same exact exercise with, instead of that one girl, that girl from Iceland, it came up from another girl that was from Australia. And they were doing the same type of exercise where you're going like this and you're doing the lunges. And that same girl, different girl, but same type of thing is coming up. She gets called a no rep on the last thing, but at the last second, she goes back and it ends up being, don't want to ruin it for you in case you're going to watch it, but she ends up getting it. She ends up winning first place. But you can see the mindset shift that she has now and how that shifted, how she had to view herself in a completely new light. Now, let me share with you a couple other things that I realized from seeing everybody interact and everyone that was in that competition type phase. People that were a winner, people that won first place. There was this one guy, his name was, is it Franklin? I forget his name. He is the number 1 guy, and he was dominant. He dominates everything. It's pretty much like when you are looking at this competition for the men, it's pretty much who's going to get second, third, and fourth place, or second and third place, because the first place is the guy that he dominates in almost everything. Now, the interesting thing is he naturally saw himself as a winner. Like, he would not be happy if he won second place, because it's almost like that second place does not resonate with his reality. He's like, you'd see him, and it's everyone that is a winner and that was winning saw themselves as a winner. They knew it was theirs. Even if somebody else won the certain, 17 to 20 different exercises or games, even if somebody won a certain game, they claimed it. They were like, this is my game. I'm going to win this one. And they did. It was very interesting to see. Here's something else I noticed. The people that were winning 4th, 5th, 6th place, they were totally okay with it. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but the difference was almost they were settling for seeing themselves as 3rd, 2nd, 4th, whatever place. And it was very interesting because the winners could only see themselves as winners, the people that were winning first places all consistently. The girl that won first place, that beat that other girl the year before from Iceland, she was very hard on herself because she saw herself such as a winner that it almost like she couldn't relate. She didn't understand why she didn't place 1st or 2nd this year. She placed like 3rd or something, or 4th, I forget. But you see the difference? The difference is are you playing to win or are you playing to not lose? That's the difference. Now, I'm going to share with you in a minute a completely new way that's going to kind of obliterate everything I'm sharing with you right now, but I want you just to be aware of this difference between the winner mindset to that of the gray area mindset. Now, many times people will have this mindset of I'm going to play to not lose rather than play to win. A guy may push himself to go up to a girl that he finds attractive. He may go up to this girl and he may not be thinking about how to connect with her or how to get her number. He may be thinking, I hope I don't get rejected. There's a big difference between going forward to win, playing to win, instead of playing to not lose. And many people are playing to not lose. Instead of I'm going to go for my passion and do what I love and go full time with it, they're thinking, how do I go for my passion but not embarrass myself in front of my friends and family and not have to give up or not have to move in with my parents or something like that because they're caring what other people think? Play to win. Not win in an ego way like I'm on the top of the mountain, but play to focus on what you want, knowing that you can have what you want to experience. So this is a perspective that will help you to understand more about the winner mindset, because there is a winner version of you. There's a winner version of you. And just like Michael Jordan used to say, I'm not competing with the other people, I'm competing with the best I can be. You can compete with the best you can be. Not in an egotistical way, but in a way where you realize that you can play to win. You can play for the outcome you want. Those people that were winning first place had their mindset and they were certain of that first place, or they were certain that they were going to be one of the best. The people that were winning fourth, fifth, sixth place were totally settling for that. They were playing for that. That's what they were focused on. So focus on you being the best you can be, because that's the mindset that is necessary in order to quote unquote win. Now, let me share with you a totally new perspective. This changed my life in the views of competition. Just to give it a little bit of a backstory, I used to work at a place called Barty's, New York, which is a sales commission job where I sold women's shoes. I sold shoes that were about $1,200 each, $800 to $1,200 each for a pair of shoes. And it was a sales commission job, meaning I got paid a percentage of everything I sold. Before that, I worked at a place called Nordstrom, same type of thing. Commission sales job. I worked in salon shoes. Average price point was like $300 to $500. And I got paid a certain percentage that I sold. So it was all commission. So the other people I work with were not only my friends, but they were people I was in a way competing with. Because when a customer would come into the store, if they went to someone else, that was commission they were going to get instead of me. So I had to constantly put myself out there. And it was something I was good at. However, my life changed when I read a certain book. There was a book I read called The Science of Getting Rich by Walter Wattles. Now, in this book, there was this mindset, this perspective of moving from, instead of being in a competitive mind frame, to be in something that's called a creative mind frame. And I made this shift. I was reading the book on my lunch break. I remember there's something called the E-bar there. I was drinking tea. I think I was drinking a lot of green tea at the time. Maybe I was drinking coffee and espresso. This is a long time ago. And I remember reading it, and it was about this creative mindset versus competitive mindset. The idea is that there's an infinite amount of abundance that exists. Only within the frame of reality where we say, I have to be better than this person, or there's a limited supply of people, do we create a limitation in of itself. The idea is that there's an unlimited amount of abundance, and the more we focus on competition is the more we focus on scarcity. So what I did is when I went back into work that day, I changed my mindset. I said, I'm not going to compete with the people next to me. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine and create for myself that which I want. If somebody comes in and goes to someone else, or someone else sells something to them, I'm not going to get jealous about it or angry because I was standing around for that period. I'm going to get inspired knowing that there's still an amazing amount of abundance out there and I can align with it. Now this worked. I did this. My state would never really go down because even if somebody else was helping someone, I knew there was still something else out there. And because of that, my mindset, my feeling linked up with more opportunities, and I became more abundant than ever before because instead of being in this competitive mind state, I was then in a creative mind state. It changed everything. Now understand, there's an infinite amount of abundance out there. When we assume that if I want something, then there's less for someone else, we put ourselves into a competitive type state. We put ourselves in comparison to everyone else. We don't have to compare ourselves to everyone else. We compare ourselves to only ourselves, the best we can be. So this was a game changer for me, and I view this in every area of my life. When I'm now a full-time YouTuber, it's not like people on YouTube can only be subscribed to 2 or 3 law of attraction niche people that share on YouTube. So it's not like somebody can't be subscribed to me and 2 or 3 other different people. So there really is no competition on YouTube. There really is only collaboration because the audiences can only grow. And it's a competitive mind state to say, oh, I have to be better than this person or more than this. It's more about creating the abundance for myself in my own frame of reality, not competing with everyone else. You see, there's always more, and when we reaffirm that, we create an abundant type reality, and we actually move ourselves to that of above the competitive mind state. So, understand as well, there's this perspective I want to share with you that has to do with understanding parallel realities. With parallel realities, think of it, because sometimes people ask, well, who wins in a competition? Who wins? Well, it depends on the person that sees it most as a winner. They see themselves as a winner, but also the person that isn't clinging to the outcome. It's normally the more relaxed person that just naturally sees themselves as a winner. The desperate one normally has the desperate energy, normally won't win first. They might win second or third, but they normally don't win first. It's normally the person just naturally, it's natural for them to see them as the best. It's natural for them to be there. And that is their reality. That's just who they are. That's how they see themselves. So it depends on the energy, the frequency of them, if they're in alignment with the best version of themselves, and if they're not attached to the outcome and in that desperate type mode. That's who will win. Now understand this. When it comes to parallel realities, there's a parallel reality version, because there's an infinite number of parallel realities that exist. There's a parallel reality version where you are number 1. There's a parallel reality version where you are number 2. There's a parallel reality version where somebody else is number 1 or 2, and it is also switched around. So it's about shifting to that reality with the awareness that it already exists, and knowing that all those probabilities exist. So while you may be winning, there's also realities where somebody else wins, and vice versa. So be aware of that, because then you can realize that you don't have to try so hard. You just have to shift and naturally see yourself as that best version of you. That's how I see myself. Not in a cocky way like I'm better than everyone else. I see myself as the best version that I can be, knowing that it's just natural for me to experience what I want. It's natural for me to have this explosive growth, for me to be able to do what I love. It's natural for me. And I see myself as one of the best at what I do. Not in the best like I'm better than everyone else, but I'm the best that I can be, and it's just natural for the way I see myself. In the same way, how can you apply that in your life? See it as natural for you. Know you are already whole and complete. Compare yourself and imagine the best version of yourself, and imagine that that's who you are now. Whatever you focus on grows. All those people that were the number 1 winners in the CrossFit games I was telling you about, they took CrossFit, that's their life. They see that as a part of who they are. They put in more work than anybody else. There's night times when they're doing this thing called an assault bike. The assault bike, I've done it. It's a crazy experience. It's like you're using every muscle that you have, and it wears you out in about a minute. You burn like 30, 40 calories in a minute. That's crazy. And you're just out of breath after 2 or 3 minutes of it. But these people are doing it all the time because they are conditioning themselves. What are you focused on? I focus on making YouTube videos. I focus on becoming a better speaker. I focus on being the best version of me that I can be, knowing that as long as I focus on that, that will grow for me. But once again, I'm competing with myself. But I'm also in a creative mind state, a creative mind frame where I realize there is an abundance out there. So what I encourage you to do is to shift from the scarcity mindset into the abundant mindset, and knowing that you are already whole and complete, and knowing that there's always more. There is no scarcity. Only when we buy into the competition and the scarcity mindset do we experience that resistance. Instead, see yourself as a winner. Know that as you move in that direction, you will experience more and more of that reality. Now, if you want help to wire in the best version of you and to really influence your subconscious mind in a powerful way, I've created a free subconscious mind MP3 that will help you to do that. It's going to be in the top of the description box below. It'll help you to see yourself and to have the self-image that you prefer. You can download it. I recommend that you listen to it for 21 days to get the best benefit out of it. Also, I will be doing more live Q&As on Instagram. I did one yesterday. I did one the day before that. It's really cool to be able to interact with you. So if you want to ask me questions, If you want to, I also post daily content over there as well. You go follow me on Instagram as well. I'll go and link it right here. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification gear so that you can see the daily vids that I do. The way that YouTube does things is that you actually have to hit that in order to see the daily vids. It's got a lot more stuff coming. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.